Today, I think we are in the age where learning is practically free and it's available to everyone. L&D will play a critical role, and that's how it stay relevant. The ability to reward and culture of risk taking. I think they go kind of hand in hand.
Padma, where have you been? Hello and welcome back to the Wizards of Learning, a chat show where we put L&D well beyond the boundaries of learning and development. I'm Chhaya Dabas and I'm the faculty in residence at Harappa, India's foremost online learning platform. And let me tell you that even though businesses and professionals alike may be more focused on earning, every organization needs effective learning to future proof itself, boost business performance, empower employees, and yes, even prevent churning. So every episode, we're going to turn the spotlight on L&D custodians at some of India's leading companies who are on top of the latest concepts and the latest trends. The burning question still remains, is it finally possible to close all those terrifying skill gaps? So if you are yearning to know how to do L&D well, sit back and just relax. And let's begin and dive right into the Wizards of Learning. Our guest today goes by the name Padmavathi Arjun. She is the Global Learning and Development Head at ValueMomentum. So, hello, Learning Wizard, and welcome to our show. Let's start with telling our audience a little about you and your journey.
Thank you so much, Chaya, for inviting me to the show. I'm honored to be here. So, to all the viewers, hi everyone. My name is Padma. I have over 20 years of work experience. Most of that has been in the learning and development space. I have been part of learning organizations and that are rich in learning and development space. Like GE is where I started my career. It's called Genpact now. I moved on to Wipro. I've done my stint with TCS, and I've briefly worked with Capgemini and other organizations as well. One of the quotes that I resonate and I kind of relate with is the more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. So I'm a lifelong learner, a traveler, a baker, a friend, and a mom of two teenage boys. So that's Padma for you.
That's such a beautiful introduction, and I really caught on to the quote that you shared. I feel I also do relate with lifelong learning, and I feel learning is there in every nook and corner. It does. It just needs that willingness to come within you. Everything around you can teach. I mean, right now the fan is moving. The speed isn't in itself is a learning right there, right? Something like that can provide us with air or make us a little cool. So I completely agree with you. And you do seem to have so many passions. You're of course a baker, so hopefully the next conversation can be while we share some muffins, possibly. And lastly,
Sure.
of course, your experience speaks for you. You've been in this L&D space for a very long time, and I do gather that you would have actually, collated so many of your own enriching stories and things that I'm eager to know more about today in our conversation.
Sure.
So, my second question to you is that considering you're such a prolific wizard that we have here today, what does L&D mean to you right off the bat?
I think L&D for me is a space for me to make a difference. L&D is a space where I think career development. L&D is a place where I think personal transformation can happen. I think that's why I'm in the space for 20 plus years. That's what L&D means to me.
Very well said. So, if now you put yourself in the shoes of a learner, what would be the ROI for a learner who also wants to commit to this lifelong journey of learning?
So I'd go back to the same quote that I quoted earlier. The more I learn, the less I think I know. I think we are also in the space where transformation and change is happening at a rapid pace. For a learner, for them to feel that they are relevant, for them to stay, ahead of the change, I think learning is the only way, and that's the ROI that they will have. Be it and I think different things motivate different learners. So I would say if it's career progression that you're looking at, L&D is a space that you can explore. And if it is more salary, then upskilling of skills is required. So I think every way that you look, I think there's something for everyone in the L&D space.
Very interesting, and I think that covers everything, right? It's growth, and who doesn't want growth? I caught on something which you said in your last answer that this space has actually transformed at a rapid pace. So do you want to exemplify that? How has this L&D landscape changed, say, across 20 years from right when you started and now being the wizard that you are?
So when I started my career in 2001 with GECIS, I think GenPack is what it's called now, there was set of people who would be the custodians of knowledge, and I think we all learned from them. Our reference was them, and so that's the team that was learning. Today, I think we are in the age where learning is practically free and it's available to everyone. So I would say digitization of learning is one big change that's happened. You would look at a lot of learning platforms that have come in, online learning platforms that have come in. There is shift from traditional classroom sessions to micro learning, bite-sized learning, and learning that's quickly accessible to people when they need it. So it's relevant and it's available when they need it and as and when they need it. I think those are big shifts that I see. Also, I think gamification is a big thing. I think we are living in a generation where people have limited attention spans, limited, and motivation also kinds of varies. So I would say this is a space era of gamification and immersive technologies that's big time happening in the learning space.
That's so fascinating. I think it's a great time to be a learner, especially with the advent of the kind of options that we have right now. And you absolutely penned it well when you said it's free, right? It's just as you want to watch a movie, you don't even have to make the effort to go to the movie hall. You just have to actually just speak on your phone now that, hey Siri, play this movie. It's as simple as that. But I feel there's also conundrum here, right? I think it's the paradox of choice, and I'll elaborate on that. I feel as learning becomes more accessible and you have this plethora of choices to choose from, you just said gamification is there, there's augmented reality now, you still have your traditional ways of learning, you have classroom learning. I think while the passion and the willingness to learn is absolutely growing, but so are the choices. That brings my attention to the question, how do you keep it relevant for the learners? How do you keep it relevant for the business leaders? And eventually, how do you justify to the organization where you are sort of fighting for it? You know, we need to get this done. We need to bring in this learning for maybe all the employees across.
So one of the things I would say the way that we can stay relevant for all the three sets of people that you spoke about, learners, business leaders, and organization, is to incorporate agile learning strategies. When I say agile, we don't want to say one size fits all. So I've created a content and that's what I'm going to stay with for the rest of 10 years. I think that's outdated. Today, we want to look at a business need and look at a business problem, create a program that caters to that need, and keep evaluating whether it's still meeting that objective that I started off with. And if that doesn't work, change the content, change the relevance, and then bring back new things that will still be relevant from a learner's perspective. From a business point of view, I would say if I'm not able to add value to the end business goal, I think L&D will still be a support function. So if I look at the business problems and say, okay, these are the business problems that my business leaders are tackling, and L&D looks at how they can be a part of this journey and help their business outcomes, that's how L&D will stay relevant. Be it improving efficiency, be it improving effectiveness, be it improving an NPS score, L&D will play a critical role, and that's how it stay relevant. So one of the things I keep telling my teams to do is to continuously be aware of the business that they are working with, like the leaders that they're working in, the business models that their end users are part of, thereby continuously tweaking and changing our learning content to be able to match that. I think that's how we would stay relevant.
Very interesting. A lot to download there. Now, something which we've been speaking a lot at Harappa is that we focus a lot on upskilling. And
Hmm.
sometimes what happens is it could lead to, say, a linear path of growth, right? You're upskilling in one particular domain. Something which is very fascinating and is coming up as a conversation is cross skilling as well. So, my curiosity and my question to you is, how do I marry both? How do I marry cross skilling and upskilling? You may want to
Hmm.
just elaborate what do they mean for the audience that we have today, and also maybe give some examples, like what would be your first three examples that you would use to upskill and cross skill together.
So I think T-shaped learning is what you're referring to while I look at the
Absolutely.
length and breadth of learning. And today we are in an age and space where one skill alone and me having depth in it may not be adequate. I do need to have skills that are across. I'll give you an example of even the L&D space, right? So it used to be okay for a person to just be a faculty and a facilitator, and that would be sufficient. But today I see in my teams, I can't have just a faculty. I do need them to be a liaison with the businesses, work with the HR team. So they need to not just have acumen in facilitation, they need to have business acumen, they need to have interpersonal skills, they need to have so many more skills. So that means I need to know in depth of facilitation, plus I need to know other skills that are cross skilling. So that's what I would say is required today. Even for the learners, if it's not just enough for me to have, let's say, just Java, right? Even if I take the technology as Java or a QA, manual testing today in the technology world, right? It's becoming very soon obsolete. And our learners have come with that experience for many years, but that is becoming obsolete very soon. So it does not matter that I have depth in that. I do need to cross skill and see how else I can leverage that skill. So I would say that's how you would need to be doing both cross skilling as well as upskilling.
Would you, any particular initiative that you would like to throw light on where you were able to actually implement this in your career, or you were trying out something in the L&D space and it just turned out to be miraculous? I mean, I'm sure all the other L&D folks are looking up to you as an inspiration, would love to, pick your brains a little bit there. Maybe an experience or a story that you had in this journey.
So I would say at heart, I'm a facilitator and I love doing that. And I've done that for a long
Padma,
time.
where have you been? We have been looking for great facilitators left, right, and center. Sorry, jokes about this. Go ahead.
So that's something that I'm very, very passionate about. But I think as I grew in role, as I, grew in strength, I would say, I felt that I needed to expand my skills and not just be a facilitator. And I started facilitating even programs or an initiative or a conversation, so to say, right? So I would say that is something that I had to learn. I had to learn project management on the way. I had to learn program management on the way. So I would say I have been constantly doing something on the lines of upskilling myself as a learner. So I do a lot of courses. I pick up one skill that I want to learn every year. So I do that and also work on my cross skilling where I pick up project management. I have done agile. I have done I think change management as well. So I do things that will add to the breadth of my experience, not just the depth. So for me, I will need to build my credibility so much more in the space of facilitators, because in the AI and augmented reality, I can bring the best of facilitators and have them access to for my learners anywhere. So if I just have that one skill, I don't think it's adequate in the world today.
No, absolutely. And I feel because, of course, India caters to such a large youth population. I think maybe more facilitators that cater to the youth as well, because I feel we are changing the narrative, right? We are moving towards queen of some trades and king of some trades as opposed to master of one. My last question in this section before we move on to the rapid fire round is that um, while you yourself said at some point that learning L&D will always be a support function, and I feel that's also the outlook we will always have towards L&D, that it will always be a support functions to our say regular trajectory or our work cycles or our routines. So I am curious to know, how can we as L&D custodians make learning a priority for learners? How can we enable that basically? What's our role in this?
I think we play a very pivotal role to not be. I mean, I want to correct if I said we will always be a support function. We'll be treated as a support function if we don't demonstrate business knowledge, if we don't demonstrate relevance to the industry. I think that's when we will be seen as a support function. But we are today an integral part of an organization, right? So I would say if I'm able to create learning interventions that are relevant to my learner, I encourage autonomy. I think gone are the days where you say, I will preach you and I'll tell you what you need to learn. Especially in the new generation that's coming into workforces, they want a lot of autonomy. So I want to be able to create a culture that fosters autonomy, and they pick and choose what they want to learn, which platform they find encouraging and motivating. So I think it's self-direction, a lot of exploration that needs to be part of the L&D space.
Right. I think that's a lovely note to end on. I think end this section on. There has to be a lot of exploration in this space, and I do hope that the learners, the business heads, and us L&D custodians keep exploring, keep swimming, and keep discovering new ways to make this space more robust and more exciting for the learner. With that note, I would like to shift gears and move into the rapid fire round. This is where your answers get a little frothy, a little quick, and a little agile. So, are you ready, Padma? Shall we get going?
Yes, please.
So, if you had a chance, what would you name L&D?
Brain gains.
Very interesting. I think that's a Netflix title into the making. The top three L&D trends to watch out for this year.
I think increase use of AI, micro learning, and usage of analytics, learning analytics, I think, to customize learning.
Absolutely. And that also justifies the ROI to the business heads, right? Because we did speak about that earlier. So, okay, turning the question now, the worst three L&D trends from last year that we really need to say goodbye to.
So I would say not just last year. I think trends that we want to do away with are lengthy, long programs. ILT, person-driven programs are a thing of past. One-size-fits-all approach needs to go away, and prescriptive methodologies of learning should also go away. Those are three things I think we should bury.
Very interesting again. Okay, next question. If you had an all power card, what would you change in L&D in India?
I would actually step back a little bit, not just in L&D. I would say I would change the education system in India. And I think that's where it comes from. Make it more application and skill-based learning so that rote learning can be done away with. And then we have engaged learners as they come into organizations.
What should we imbibe from other learning cultures around us, outside of India, of course?
One thing I think when we talk about culture of inquisitiveness, curiosity, right? I think for that to happen, one of the cultures that we should have in organization is the ability to reward and culture of risk taking. I think they go kind of hand in hand. So I think if one thing I want to change, build more curiosity, I would encourage culture of risk taking in organization. That means failures are appreciated. Failures are not looked down upon, so that there is saying, oh, I can take risks and I can explore so many more things. So I would say that's what I would like to bring in into the learning culture.
If you were not an L&D custodian or the wizard that you are, what would Padma be doing?
I think traveling and exploring different cultures is what I would be doing, and that's something on cards.
Absolutely. I was just wondering whether you'd headed to the airport after this. You might have a trip coming up. What is the most aspirational idea that you have had as an L&D person? A movie, a school, it could be anything that's also on the cards for you. And you're building it slightly day by day, bit by bit.
I have seen people transformed, people develop, people change for the better. I think that has been one. So every session that I do or a program that I create, I keep looking at how it could change someone, how it could benefit someone. I think that's what's kept me going as an L&D person. That we bring transformation not just to that person. It could mean better employment for the family, better career for the person. So many more things. I would say those things, are my aspirational reasons why I continue being an L&D person.
One valuable advice you have to all the upcoming aspirants in the L&D space.
So I would say two things actually. So staying relevant and being practitioners of what you actually teach people. So you are the role model and people need to look at you and saying, okay, that's what I want to become.
And the last question, and we end it with a bang, is that what would your superhero tagline say? Padma. I'm sure there are a couple scribbled here and there.
I would say the learning catalyst, igniting transformation, one skill at a time.
Wow. I can already see you with the cape, flying and these words, this thing. And I know L&Ds and safe hands. Thank you so much, Padma. This was such a great, crisp, but such a powerful conversation that we had. Any ending thoughts or words for the learners who I know have loved you in every frame of this conversation today?
I would say be a lifelong learner. I think having a growth mindset and learning, I think those two things will carry you through life. I would say those are my parting words. Thank you.
And to learn that, you come to Harappa. That's a plug that I thought I'll just add quickly there. But no.
Absolutely. Harappa has been a great partner for us. We have done various initiatives, and Harappa is also a place where I come and ideate and think. I think that way it's been a great platform for us to explore.
No, the pleasure is ours. We're grateful that Value Momentum values us as the right partners for this journey, and the best part is we keep building together.
Yes.
So we also end up learning a lot. So thank you so much, Padma. It was wonderful to speak to you today. Thank you for your time, and keep learning, keep growing, and keep teaching us all aspirants to be as big trailblazers as you are today. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you. Thank you, Chhaya.